Good afternoon. I'm Rick O'Brien. I'm chairman of the Forsyth County Board of Tax Assessors, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Charles Meager, would you be kind enough to do the invocation and pledge, please?
Yes. Bow our heads, please. God, guide and direct us as we make decisions for our citizens of our county. Make these decisions in the best interest for their future, for the process that we're going through. Be with all those who are suffering from the current pandemic problems. Be with all of our first responders, our armed forces, and all those who protect our American way of life. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now, I did pledge.
Good.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Meager. The agenda has been distributed and it's here in front of us. Do we need to have any changes or additions?
I would like to make an addition, please, or two additions. I would like to add as item number 5, new business, B, real property. Number 4, which is a homestead for Erik Rucker, map and parcel 207-061. And also add number 5 after that. That would be a Homestead Deadline for applications per the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
Anything else?
I don't have anything.
May I hear a motion to approve and adopt the agenda?
I'll make a
motion. I'll
We
second.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes from the April 16th work session and the April 16th regular meeting have also been distributed. Does anyone have any changes or adjustments or additions to these minutes?
I don't.
Hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the minutes from the work session and the regular meeting?
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes of the work session and the regular meeting of April 16th.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you. Moving on to new business. We have a handful of personal property corrections. I believe there are 4 of these.
I didn't have any questions on any of them.
I didn't.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the personal property corrections?
I'll make such motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the personal property corrections. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Moving right along. The next item is conservation use applications. Is Donna with us today?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, Donna, can you lead us through these new ones, please?
Sure. The first parcel we have is 048016. This is a dairy goat farm. It does have 4 acres plus an acre with a home. It does have pasture. The owner, she has basically its primary is her goats, her dairy goats that she does breed, and sell. She's a member of the National Goat Association, and they have to have a certain criteria that they meet to make sure that these animals are healthy as they sell them to their new owners. She also has other animals on her farm as well. If you look at her values, you'll see her resident is at $169,300. Her land value is at $178,200. She does have some outbuilding shelters there, so total value comes to $348,680. She does not file taxes on a farm or their income taxes, but she did supply medical records, breeding information, fencing repairs, food, that type of thing. She did supply me with a good source of those in the past.
Did she, by any chance, give you the revenue that she generated annually from her goats?
She said that the goats only have 1 to 3 babies a season. That's in the spring. So she may get 1 to 3 babies that she would sell per year, and they would average like $350 per baby. So you're probably looking at $1,000 she might be getting off of selling a season of babies for just one season.
She also made some reference that I think that she sold the dairy milk, the goat milk, or is that correct?
She has not, but she does use the milk.
Okay.
And the thing about with this, her being registered with this dairy farm association, they have to meet a certain criteria. They also, when the babies are born, they are tattooed. They're given a registration, like a serial number, as well as her farm number that will follow them all their lives. She has to make sure that they're registered again with the association and that they have been debudded and all their worming and all their medical records current before they go to the new home.
Anybody have any thoughts?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. I hear a motion to approve. Is there a second? Charles, I couldn't hear you there.
You're muted, Charles.
I'll second.
There you go. Thanks. We have a motion and a second. Some discussion. Well, I had some thoughts. It seems to me like they're pets. She has some goats. She sells 3 or 4 of them a year, 2 or 3 or 4 of them a year. It's like breeding dogs or breeding some other kind of household pet. So I'm not sure that it's the primary use of that 4 acres, particularly since it's less than 10 our threshold. I'm just not sure that it's a bona fide farm. So just sharing my thoughts. Any other thoughts? Okay, well, we have a motion to approve. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
I'll say aye.
All opposed to that motion, say nay, I guess. Nay. Is our friend Gerald out there anywhere? Okay, well, I think we will just ask Mary for some guidance, but I would say we just table this because we can't come up with.
I would suggest you table it. I sent Mr. Sullivan a text to see if he was trying to join, and I have not heard back from him. I would suggest that we table this one till there's a quorum to break the tie.
Can I make that motion?
Okay.
I'll make that motion. Table.
Good. In a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to table this one until we have our next meeting. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Donna, on to the next one, please, ma'am.
Sure. The next one is parcel 215044. This is 26 acres, and this parcel is 100% hay production. I was actually, when I visited Mr. Mills, Tim Holtzclaw was cutting the hay, and he did send me a letter after all this was done that he had been doing this for quite some time, and I had been talking to Mr. Mills about that. So I got a letter also, but it was after the meeting, after I gathered all the stuff for the meeting. But it's there's probably a couple of acres of timber on there, but pretty much 24 plus acres is used for nothing but timber. Nothing but hay production. And we've got a value of $645,840 for the land, but it is done for hay production only.
Just there you go, Charles. Do I hear a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. We have
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Next one, Miss Donna.
Okay, the next one is parcel 302037. This parcel consists of approximately 6 acres of agricultural and approximately 11 acres of timber. The agricultural area is actually for production of corn, wheat, and soybean and hay. I did get a letter from Wade Castleberry that he's been farming this land for approximately 25 years for this family. So he does basically those items. And then the timber that's there has never been harvested. But the basic use of the property is for the agricultural use of farming hay, corn, wheat, soybean.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I entertain a motion.
Rick, I'll make a motion to approve because I know this property is in my area up here.
Okay.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Donna, that concludes us for conservation today, does it not?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Well, thank you for your guidance and keeping us moving in a good direction.
Excuse me, Jerry, have you joined? I see Mr. Sullivan has come online.
His microphone's turned off.
His microphone is off, exactly. Jerry, if you're with us, can you turn your microphone on, please? Okay, I'm not really sure if he's with us. I thought you might want to revisit the other if he had joined, but
Right.
I'm not really sure if his name has shown up but I
Well,
don't see him.
We can come back to that if
Yes, we can come back next month, no problem.
we can come back today.
Okay, if he comes on.
Okay. The next item on our agenda was the 2020 residential and commercial assessment notices that we received from Mary earlier in the week. Mary, would you just give us a brief overview, please?
Yes, as noted, I did mail out the pre-list to each of you. Well, I take that back. I did not mail it out. I put it online so that you could review it, have some time to review. There's in excess of 93,000 notices to be mailed. Some we probably had about 50% that had slight increases. The other either remained the same or went down a little bit. Other than that, we did no major work this year. I think as we noted in the work session before, everyone did finish out most of their areas. We had a few sales we probably did not review to the extent we would have liked to. COVID-19 virus and coming in contact with people, but otherwise the work is fairly well complete and we are ready to mail. The final ratio study, I also put out there. Our current level on the residential side is 98. I need to pull that up for you, but it was also in the.
You're getting a lot of background.
If someone may have a phone or computer turned on.
Is that better?
Much better.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know where that was coming from, but we got it. The residential ratio study is coming out at 98.27%. Countywide, we were looking at about 97.89, I think it was. And I think that is, we'll round off to hopefully, I'm sorry, 97.38. I'm looking at that. And hopefully that will put us in place that we're still going to be at an acceptable level. Our COD was 3.81, which shows a great level of uniformity, and our PRD is 1.009, which indicates we are not showing a preference to either lower valued or higher valued property. So statistically, we sit sound right now. And other than that, you know, ratios individually, you gentlemen have looked at during the others. And this is just the big pre-list of approval to let the notices go. And they, if approved today, they will be mailed next Friday on May 21st.
Excellent. Thank you, Mary. Does anyone have any questions of Mary?
No, I just, looking at these, they look like excellent numbers, Mary.
Yeah, I think we're in good shape. It's gonna be an interesting year, but I think overall we're in very good shape to move forward.
I'd entertain a motion to approve the assessment notices.
I make said motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. 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 Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the corrections. Does anyone have any comments?
I had no comments.
I have none.
I don't have any.
I do not. No comments. I would entertain a motion to approve.
I make
Correct.
a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Second. Is that you, Gerald?
Yes, sir.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the correction, say aye. Aye. Good, thank you. The next item on our agenda is the item number 4, Erik Rucker. Professor, would you give us a little introduction on Erik, please?
Okay, Mr. Rucker is a 100% service-connected disabled veteran, and he wanted to apply here, and due to the COVID-19, he's had a problem because he can't get back to California where they moved from. So right now they're paying mortgages on 2 houses and everything, and they don't have their license switched over. They don't have, I don't remember exactly what all it is. Everything switched to here though. And so he's wanting the exemption, and I just wanted to put it before you all. He meets all the other requirements except for having the, to show us that he actually lives here. He does have the power bills, stuff like that. He has utility bills in his name here, showing where they're being paid and such. But he just doesn't have his motor vehicles here, the things that we normally require, either your driver's license matching your property address, or having your motor vehicles and everything switched over, because everything's there. And they said that they couldn't, right now they can't get back there to get everything tied up and then let go of it so that they can get it here. But the next item that's coming up, I think may sort of take care of this. I'm not sure. We'll just have to discuss on that. But I thought I would put it before you all to see if y'all thought, could tell me what we can do for Mr. Rucker.
Tressa, you've spent time with him, and you do this every day.
Yes.
Would you make a recommendation, or would you have a recommendation to the assessors on whether we should approve this or not?
Well, I think it should be approved, but I think maybe we could to try to hold off, as with the next item. The next item, I think, is giving people through the state, giving people that apply for, I'm going to say, like an income exemption, something that we have to have income for, until July 15th, because the federal has pushed that out so that will be doing their taxes by July 15th. And so I would probably, with this, I would allow him at least until July 15th to get everything taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we could either give him an extension, or we could approve him. What's your pleasure?
I would like to make a motion that we give him the extension. It's clear that he's got the requirements of the disability, but it's not clear that he doesn't have a homestead in another place, and it's not clear that he's not getting a tax break at another place also.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to extend his deadline until July 15th. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. The next one, Tressa, you're still up, ma'am, was the Homestead Deadline that you distributed to us today, I guess.
Okay, I distributed that. If Mary can, I'll let Mary talk on that, if you don't mind.
That would be wonderful. That'd be fine.
Okay, this, I think you gentlemen received a copy of this as well. And the language, this was a directive that came to us from the Department of Revenue regarding the COVID-19 and how we basically should or should not react, and how the state was interpreting some of the extensions granted by the governor. When the governor did grant extensions, they were very specific to doing it for only CUVA conservation use and flip purposes. They did say that there was going to be some, by the governing authority, to waive penalties and interest by resolution. They addressed the homestead application specifically And it says that taxpayers may apply for a homestead exemption year-round, but must submit applications by April 1st of the year for which they are applying. Counties are encouraged to try to get the word out to taxpayers that the applications are available online and that we were allowing flexibility of mode of submission, mail, email, physical drop box, which we did all of those, and that the county should accept the postal date on a mail document as the received date, and we would honor that as well. It did tell us that they would also grant an extension on applications that require supporting documentation. It says that counties are encouraged to accept supporting documentation later than they may normally accept supporting documentation, particularly in light of the income tax filing deadline to July 15th, as many local homesteads are tied to income. Moreover, if a taxpayer is denied, they can appeal these exemptions. We do agree, I think, and this is what Tressa was referring to ago when she said this gentleman, if we extended his time until April 15th and you officially adopt this policy, that any of the exemptions that require an income qualification, that we can accept those income documents up to July 15th. I do not think, and I have done a survey of several of the adjoining counties to see if people are extending the actual filing deadlines, and everyone I'm getting, and including the county attorney, is basically saying no, that they think that's outside of the purview of what the governor has granted for us to extend that filing deadline, that we accept supporting documentation later, but it did not change the April 1 deadline for filing because the taxpayer had a year prior to that to do it. So I think what we're looking for here today is the question is twofold, because we are getting this question, and I think we need to go ahead and set a policy on this. Are you willing, or would you consider, in light of the guidance, extending the homestead filing deadline? And if not, do you agree to extend the time to submit supporting documentation until April 15th? So it's a twofold thing that I think we need a policy or a vote on today. Is, are you going to extend the April 1 deadline, and may we still accept supporting documentation until July 15th based upon the July 15th filing of income tax?
Thank you, Mary. That's well explained, a complicated situation, but well explained. Anybody have any thoughts they want to share?
I could go along with extending the time to provide supporting documentation, I think.
Okay.
So is that, can you hear me, folks?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so the two questions, Mary, I want to make sure I understand. The first one is are we willing to extend the April 1st homestead exemption deadline date?
Yes.
Did I say that right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So in other words, go beyond that. And what is, so if it gets extended to when?
Well, that would be a decision that you gentlemen could make as well. I think it's arbitrary and ill-advised because there is no provision to do that.
Yeah.
But again, it is probably something, if you choose to do it, you could do it, as long as you abide by policy. But I think that the bigger question is July 15th for supporting documentation, or an extension to the existing and an extension to the existing deadline.
This is the deadline, okay.
I think that, I agree with what was said earlier. I think we ought to extend the date to July 15th to do more detailed material and not extend the April 1st. However, I don't want to lose this board's right to look at something if there was some extremely difficult circumstances. Although we don't, as a policy, extend the April 1, I would still hope we would have the opportunity if someone appeared before us with some very unusual circumstances to grant some leniency.
And
So-
I don't have a problem with that. I think that during this time, that's probably a wise move to make, to leave that option open, because we don't know what circumstances some people may have faced. And I do think that's well within your right to look at what the circumstances were and why a person may not have met right now. So I think even if you set this policy that no, you're really not going to extend the deadline, that does not prohibit you looking at things on a case-to-case basis. In fact, I'm not sure you're really still not obligated to, in the sense that if you don't look, if they are late, we're going to have to send them a late filing letter and give them an opportunity to appeal, which could put them back in front of you again at that time anyway. So I think you're leaving that option open.
Do we, I think we got some supporting documentation, Tressa, on this particular case. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I sent you all what came from the Department of Revenue.
Well, I'm stating as to the gentleman or his secretary that filled out the paperwork and didn't go back to her office to send it in. She had it completed on 3/27.
Mhm.
Am I correct here? She failed to send, to mail the,
Yeah, it was not received timely. It wasn't received until, after April 9th at least.
you understand where I'm going? I'm saying, so did she fail? It was, according to the documentation, it was completed on March the 27th. For some reason, you didn't get it until April the 9th. So I guess there must be a mailing stamp on it to say when they finally got it in the mail to you. Is that correct? Maybe I'm.
It was FedExed, but since it was after the April 1st deadline, it was considered late.
Right.
Just want to have all the facts out there. That's all.
Phil, would you be maybe kind enough to state your emotion, or what you kind of said was similar to a motion in regarding this matter?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we allow additional supporting information up to and including July 15th with the option to extend the application deadline past April 1st.
I'll second that.
Mary, do we need a little clarification there?
Yeah, I think I need clarification on that
I think
one.
we need to. I think we don't want to extend the deadline officially.
Right, I think you either do or don't, and then handle them. If you don't, then you hold your right to look at them individually through the appeal process. Or I think if you put it on the table that you're holding that option to extend it, then yes, I think you're saying that you may be willing to extend it. And I would rather have a complete, yes, we're going to extend it to X date, or no, we're not going to at this point, and deal with them through the appeal process. And accept the additional, I think even the memo from the Revenue Department about accepting the additional information up until July 15th is not a question. I think that's logical because you don't have to file income tax, and income tax is what we have to have. So I think that's perfectly logical, but for the others, I think we need to look at possibly them individually and through the appeal process, or as an overall extend the deadline, please.
Okay, I guess I need to modify for my motion then. We have a second on the motion, right?
I'll
We did.
withdraw it.
I would have to
Yes.
withdraw the original motion, which I do. And I'll make the motion that we allow supporting information up through July 15th, excuse me, and we maintain April 1st as the application deadline.
Very good. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Okay. Is Donna still there?
Yes, I am.
Do we want to go back to the goats, guys, or do we want to leave the goats until next month?
Jerry, they were waiting on you for the goat guy.
Let's go ahead and do it.
Okay. Donna, if you would start, if you'd give us another rundown on the, for the lack of a better term, the goats, we'd appreciate it.
What application?
Sure, okay.
And Jerry,
Okay.
Gary, we had a tie vote on this, okay? So we tabled it. We're gonna untable it since we now have 5 people to vote. And so I guess I'll make a motion that we untable that, first of all. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, Donna, you're on.
Okay, very good. All right, parcel number 048016. This is a goat farm that is a registered American dairy goat farm. The purpose of their goats is for dairy production there. The owner does care for them, breeding, raising, managing them. She has pasture land that's little over plus minus 4 acres. She has a residence there. It's valued at $169,300. Her land is valued at $178,200. She does have some outbuildings, so the land value and the home, the outbuildings comes to $348,680. These goats are for dairy purposes, and they are when they're born, they are registered and tattooed with her farm number and a serial number before they go out to the prospective homes. They're medically treated, debudded, wormed, and everything so that they're good to go for the homes for the dairy process. She does not file income taxes with a Schedule F, but she did supply me quite a bit of documentation, receipts showing medical, her fencing, repairs at the home, hay, food, that type of thing. And she also, has to keep documentations on her herd.
Does anyone have any other questions of Donna?
I don't.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
I made the original motion. Now I'll make the same motion again. I feel that since she's actually raising goats and selling the milk, that would qualify as a bona fide agricultural activity. So I make the motion that we approve it.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Yes.
I had some discussion as well. Go ahead, please.
I just want to clarify, it's how many acres is it total?
It's 5 acres with 1 acre, and her home is taxed at fair market value. The remaining
Okay.
is pasture fenced in area.
Okay. And how many goats is she raising I guess at any one time? Is that
Well,
fair to say, or?
yeah. Well, they only have babies in the spring. So if she's got 10 females, she could, have up to 10 babies, but they don't always produce every season. So, it could be 3 or 4 a year. It just depends.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, I had a comment that I shared last time. It seems more like a pet to me than a farm. It's on less than 10 acres without a federal tax form. If she sells 3 or 4 of them a year, it's $1,200 or $1,500. It's almost like breeding dogs. It's a hobby and it just doesn't feel like a farm to me. So those are my thoughts. We have a motion and we've had plenty of discussion and we've had lots of time to think about it. All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Where's Charles?
Where's Charles?
Where'd Charles go?
I'm not sure where he went. I'm trying to get him back. I don't know.
We're gonna really know this application when we're done, though. We're gonna know.
I think if we can, if we're back open, we need to get the big commissioners meeting room and do 6 foot apart from each other.
Okay.
Oh, here comes
Yeah, I
Charles.
see him,
There he is.
but I don't see him.
Charles, can you hear us? Mr. Cantrell?
He cannot hear.
No, he may have closed out because I'm seeing an X and a looks like a little speaker by his name, something a little different than I see on everyone else. So I've lost Mr. Cantrell.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to table?
Table this again.
We spent half our meeting on the goats.
I'll make a motion, we table this till the next meeting.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'll second.
And a second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there a need for any closed session, Mary?
I have none, no.
Anyone else? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
One other thing on the agenda, did we
Uh-oh.
skip personal property corrections?
No.
Okay.
Mm.
All right.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second to that fine motion?
I'll
Second. Whatever.
Okay, we have a motion second. We have no further discussion. I'm sure all in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Great seeing everybody.
All right, enjoyed it, folks.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much, Tessa.
All right,
Stay safe.
Thank you.
safe.
Mary.
Bye-bye.
Tressa, thank you.